Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for coming out. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Albert Walton. I work upstairs in tissue services as a doc specialist. And I used to work for New Jersey Sharon Network. Some of the people that are here to present today, Tatiana Martinez, Joe Padovano, Frank Katina, and Dan Sarkowski. They're basically here to give you an idea of what happens prior to the tissue shipment and give you a connection to the donor families and recipients. So, without further ado, Tatiana Martinez.
Good afternoon. My name is Tatiana Martinez. I started working with the Sharing Network back in 2006 when I was 10, just so you all know. I worked at our Donation Resource Center, which we call the DRC. That's where we obtain consent and speak to families. So I started there and I worked my way up. And I was there until about 2014, and then I transitioned into hospital services back in 2014, where I worked to strengthen our partnerships with our hospitals. And I also had the opportunity to interact with families who were working through the process of organ and tissue donation on site. I had the opportunity to work in operating rooms with our hospital staff and do a lot of that stuff, so it was really exciting. I also obtained my CTBS in 2008, and then I transitioned in 2016 into performance improvement. So I'm on the other side of the spectrum now, making sure that we are working at the best and to be really excellent and make sure our staff is excellent. So I really kind of wanted to talk about a little about the numbers, because we always talk about the process, but the numbers are really important. So our Donor Referral Center, which is our DRC, received about 25,000 phone calls in 2016. Of those 25,000 phone calls, only 2,600 were actually eligible to even be asked if they wanted to be donors. Of those, 1,100 actually said yes. And then of those, only about 766 families could become donors. That's 3%. So we talk about the rarity of organ donation, but tissue donation is equally rare. 3% of all the deaths that we get called in were actually eligible. And that might even get lessened through the QA process. So it's a really big deal. Of course. And every donor that we get and receive, we hope, actually gets used by our recipient. So screening, so our DRC, Donor Referral Center, they really use the nurse as an information source. Nurses call in the referral, sometimes it's a nurse, sometimes it's a medical examiner, sometimes it might even be another family member. If their family is in hospice, they just might be calling because they know that this family member wanted to help other people. They call us in, we obtain minimal information, we look to see any infectious disease process. That's top priority. Make sure that there's nothing that can really harm the recipient or our recovery staff throughout the recovery. We also want to ensure that we're able to see the circumstances, the cause of death, what happened, and we're also looking to establish the time that this individual passed away. Those are our top priority. We also will ask for past medical, surgical, or social history. Social history can be anything from he smoked to he might have done something a little bit questionable, and some people who were a little bit questionable. And we also think about family dynamics. When someone passes away, my husband might be my next of kin, but my mother might be making all the decisions. We want to establish all of that to ensure that we're getting the right person on the phone the first time. We never want to bother a family. We're getting the wrong person on the phone, and we want to make sure that we're contacting the right person. So we work with a lot of external partners. And when I say external partners, it could be a medical examiner, a funeral home, the pathologist that the family hired to do a private autopsy. It also might be a physician who cared for the patient last year. It might be an oncologist who treated the patient for skin cancer 5 years ago. All of these people play a huge role in ensuring that the gift gets used, which you all know. And we also get any additional information surrounding the death. So if there was a neighbor who happened to see the car crash, sometimes we might have to reach out to them. It just depends on every circumstance because they're always different. And I think one of the most important parts of what we do at the Sharing Network is really working with the families. We do a DREG, and that's a donor risk assessment interview. Every DREG contains at least 50 questions. It doesn't sound like much, and it's very similar to what you'd answer if you wanted to be a blood donor, but doing a DREG when you lost your wife, or your husband, or your mother, or your child is incredibly difficult. Every family who does them, we struggle, and we get through them. A lot of the times, you'll know when you're talking to them This is the time where they actually get a moment to reminisce about their loved one. We ask, what did they drink? They'll answer questions and they'll say, oh, he just loved Miller Lite, or whatever it may be. But it's actually the opportunity where we get the most information about the decedent, while at the same time being able to develop memories with these families. It's an opportunity for our staff to really develop a trust with these families. So we really look at it as not only a point of contact for information, but also as a way to really deepen our relationship with these families. What's your cover? So now that we have our initial information, we've done the donor risk assessment interview. We often obtain hospital charts, ME reports, any information from any family, friends, any additional nurses, doctors, physicians, pathologists, oncologists, whoever may be involved. And we take all of this information and we review it. We'll review it, another individual from our team will review it, and then we take this information and we present it to all the tissue banks. So we're making sure at each step that we're double and triple checking all of this. So we kind of review all of it, and then each bank is given an opportunity to either say, yes, this is a donor that would definitely meet our criteria, or no, this donor does not meet our criteria. And we'll do that as many times as possible to make sure that we use as many gifts as possible. Once that's all reviewed, we notify our recovery team, and then they would be the ones who are setting up the logistics. So I'm going to pass it off to Jim Caivano.
Hello everyone, my name is Joe Caivano. I've been working with New Jersey Sharing Network since 2010. I started out in tissue banking with MTF, doing processing in 2004 until about 2008. 2008 I started doing recovery for Philadelphia. I obtained my CTDS in 2008, and then I transitioned to tissue recovery trainer at New Jersey Sharing Network, which is my current position now. And I do all the training with the staff and making sure we're following policies and procedures for all our processors. Like Tatiana said, it starts for us with a phone call and an email. So this is a typical email we'll get from the DRC, and it has authorization, the DREG, copies of the chart, the summary. This one here was for a skin only 4 lifestyle. So we get that information, we have to review it. So we got to review a DREG, again, the summary, hospital chart, and believe me, that could be a hospital chart from someone that's in a hospital for 2 to 3 weeks. So we have to review that. And just remember, everything we do is time sensitive. From the time of death or the last time seen alive, we have 24 hours to recover tissue. And sometimes if they weren't refrigerated within 12 hours, we only have 15 hours to recover. So, going through something like that can be a little challenging. And hello! So we call out, team members help each other out, because who could read 1,000-page chart like that in a couple of hours? So, while we're doing all this, we're making sure, even though the processor has accepted the donor already, we're making sure that we meet all the criteria still, because we might find things in the chart that weren't reviewed during the drag and everything like that. So we gotta make sure everything fits into all our processor's criteria, which Lifestyle, Community Tissue Services, MTF, LifeNet, and Bone Bank. Once everything looks good with the chart, we're ready to go. The team lead is making calls to the recovery staff saying, we got a case, it's either gonna be at the hospital, we're gonna move the donor to our recovery suite in Edison. And so they're setting up all the logistics, the OR time, our delivery service that picks up donors, teams coming to pack the supplies. So there's still a lot of stuff that's going on before we even do a recovery. Once we get to the recovery suite of the hospital, we always wear PPE, personal protective equipment, goggles, keep ourselves safe, because majority of the time we're running all these donors at risk. Then once we receive the donor, it's very, very important we gotta ID the donor. So we're double checking with the authorization and the toe tag, wristbands, anything that might be relevant. If anyone has questions, I like questions, so please raise your hand. From there, once we have the donor, and still, this can still not be a case, because we have to do a physical assessment. There's many things on a physical assessment that we have to do that can still rule out a donor, because we're looking for high-risk behaviors, track marks, needle marks, different things like that. Sexual things like from area, condyloma, from males and stuff that can still go out the donor. So we got to do a physical assessment, we're looking up and down the body, and then we also got to draw blood. Sometimes if they lost a lot of blood, it might be hard to draw blood, and that can also rule out the case as well. But once everything's a go, we start to do a prep for the donor. So before we do that, we do a timeout after we know the case is going to go. We do a quick timeout. We do a review of the authorization. We go over the plans of who's going to do what, who's going to cut, who's going to do back table, and everything like that, and who we're recovering for. And then we also do a moment of silence before we do every recovery. We take the time to thank this donor for the gift that they're giving. It's very important to us to make sure that we're honoring their gifts. Then we do a wash and shave. And this is a very tedious process because we got to clean the donor, and if they're very hairy, it's painstaking sometimes. After we wash and shave and get the donor all ready and prepped, we bring them into the OR, and there we'll get them all prepped, and then we have skin prep time. This is our saving grace. This is once we make skin prep time, we can stop the clock. Before it used to be first incision, but now AETB changed that rule in skin prep time. So this gives us a little breathing room. We're like, ah. So now we can concentrate and do our recovery. Once we're doing our recovery, like I said, we're recovering. These are the different tissues we recover: bone, tendons, ligaments, skin that we recover for you guys, heart valves, veins, and corneas. So depending on what they're consented for and their age criteria, or different things that we can recover for. At the end of the case, we do a full reconstruction. This is some of the prosthetics that we use to reconstruct the donor and everything. And we work very closely with all our funeral homes, like Tatiana said before, and every donor should be an open casket viewing, depending, what type of accident or something that they had. So we work very closely. We ask the families in DRC, they ask them, are they going to be, if it's a female, she's going to be buried in a short sleeve shirt, different things like that, so we can meet those families' needs for that. Some of the challenges we have with recovery, again, like you said, I showed you that big chart, last time seen alive, pronouncement, obtaining blood, different timeout situations. There's a lot of things that can go wrong or delay a case, and problems that occur that can be very stressful for the team. And then with tissue donation for a bone and skin donor, they can help more than 50 potential recipients, so it's very enhancing and saving. And this is some of our surgical recovery teams. So that's the end of my presentation. So I'm going to call up Frank.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here with you guys today. And I'm going to get the honor of talking about quality systems and how we handle that at the Sharing Network. But before I do that, I do want to just let you guys know that what's going on in our Donation Resource Center every day that Tatiana talked about is really amazing stuff. They're talking to families, they're dealing with the families in their moments of grief, they're handling phone calls from the hospitals. There's a lot going on. Same thing with our recovery staff. I've had the opportunity to go out on a recovery and observe them take their moment of silence and to show the respect to the donor, and it's really, really amazing. I talk about it's like watching them do a dance, the way that they move around the operating room, and they know what the next guy is going to be doing. It's just awesome to see them in action. And Joe was actually one of the people on the case that I got to go to, and it was really, really great. But I'm going to talk about quality. Now, I think quality is just as important. Now, who's in the room here? Who works in quality? Quality people? Oh, wonderful. So I got a bunch of people here who can totally relate. We love quality, right? And it's very important. It's a big, important part of our process because our goal in quality is to make sure that the tissue gets released. We want to do the recoveries, but if we can't use the tissue because we can't get the information that we need, then we're not fulfilling the gift that we have. So that's our goal. So I joined the Sharing Network in 2009, And I really have an environmental health and safety background. I started as an environmental consultant. I did that for 6 or 7 years. And then I moved into a research and development environment where I did industrial hygiene, which is monitoring to make sure people aren't being exposed to chemicals and doing ergonomic assessments and things like that. And then I worked in manufacturing as well, the hot, plastic environment where they were manufacturing plastic pellets and putting that stuff together. And then finally I came to the OPO, the Organ Procurement Organization. I had no idea what the Sharing Network was when I applied. I found the advertisement in the Star Ledger. Yes, I looked in the paper. And I actually applied for the job. I knew no one there, right? And I got called in, got the interview, and got the job. I mean, I literally got home, took my jacket off, and the phone rang. We want to hire you. So it was wonderful. It was a wonderful experience, but I had no healthcare background. I didn't know anything about healthcare. So really, over the last 8.5 years is how I've learned about this entire industry, and it really is truly awesome. So I have my Six Sigma Green Belt certification, as well as a certification from the American Society for Quality as a certified quality auditor, because we do a lot of auditing at our facility, internal auditing, to make sure that we're doing what we're supposed to be doing and that we're meeting the requirements that we need to meet. And last but definitely not least, I obtained my Certified Tissue Banking Specialist certification. It's going to be a year in September that I took that test. And I gotta tell you, when I heard that we were coming to Lifestyle to do this presentation, my heart started to palpitate because I took my test at Lifestyle. but not here at this facility, at your other facilities, so I said, I won't be as nervous this time. But I have to share with you, this is how I spent my summer last year, and my wife will attest to that. You guys can't see the crying baby over here in the corner, but it was tough. I started in June, and I studied June and July and August and all the way up to the last minute in September. I think it was the 24th, if I remember correctly. And here's a picture of the drawings that I did of all the different bones and parts of the body and the heart and different stuff. Because again, having no background in this stuff, I really didn't know anything about it. So I was drawing pictures and I was creating Excel spreadsheets. Again, quality people, right? We love our Excel spreadsheets. I was doing Excel spreadsheets, and I narrowed those things down. I had 600 questions on my Excel spreadsheet, and I started to color code the ones that I knew green, and the ones that I was really bad at red, until I finally got it down to, I think, maybe 75 questions that I was sitting in the parking lot sending that morning when I was going in to take my test. So definitely a tough one. So let me talk a little bit about the quality department at the Sharing Network. We are responsible for handling our internal inspections. So when the FDA shows up, which they did about 2 weeks ago, showed up knocking on the door, we have to be there to receive them. And actually tomorrow, 5 people from Lifestyle are coming to our facility to do our annual inspection. The timing is kind of weird, but it just worked out that way. So we'll be hosting some folks at our facility who are going to be checking to make sure that we're meeting the requirements that you guys need for our tissue recovery. We handle the internal audits, which I already spoke about. We do document control, something called master control. I don't know if you guys use master control. Usually when I mention master control, I get a lot of scared looks because it's got like this really scary response from most of the Sharing Network employees, but it's been a great tool helping us in our inspections. We are handling safety, and again, that's really where my background is. That was really one of the reasons that I was brought to the Sharing Network, because I did have the safety background. So I was able to really do a gap assessment to determine what was missing from the safety function, and then increase our policies and hopefully reduce our employees getting injured. I took a picture of that sign because I think we need one of those signs at the Sharing Network. I'm going to go back and show it to everyone. And then improvement initiatives, and I've got a couple of examples that I'd like to show you, some things that I actually worked with your staff to do some improvements. And I'll talk about that in a moment. And then last but not least, regulatory interpretations. I don't know if you guys have the same thing, but regulations are changing constantly. This young lady is smiling, so I think she knows what I'm talking about. Regulations are always changing in our industry, so we're constantly trying to help interpret and do, how we're going to do it. Because the regulation may say one thing, but there's lots of different ways to get it done. So we want to figure out what's the best way, how can we make it work in our systems. Our steps to success start with these improvement initiatives. And we're doing improvement initiatives hopefully every day at the Sharing Network, trying to look for ways to make the process better. And then we look at our indicators and our data, and we try to measure and see how well we're doing. How are we making the numbers move in the direction that we want them to? And then we each have individual goals. And our individual goals are tied into our department goals, which should all be tied into our organizational goals, which is making sure that we transplant organs and tissue, that we meet our laboratory requirements for turnaround time, and then of course our philanthropic activities for our foundation as well. Our goal is to be the best tissue recovery agency in OPO in this entire country, and I think we are. I think the Sharing Network does a great job. And we are there to better serve those who are waiting for transplant and to better serve those who give the gift of life. Like Tatiana talked about it, in people's worst moment, that they're making a decision to help someone else, and that's a wonderful thing. And again, we want to be the best tissue partner. We love working with LifeCell and the folks that I get to deal with, Anna and Colleen and Sarah and everyone that we work directly with. You know, working with them, it's a partnership, and we want to be the best partner that we can be. So I'm the manager of quality systems and safety, and I have a full-time quality systems specialist. Her name is Danielle. She's been in the department for about a year. I have Johanna, who used to actually work for LifeCell. You guys know Johanna Latosha? She just became a grandmother, if you didn't know that. And she actually works out of Mississippi, so she works remotely for us, and she's reviewing charts and helping us to get things cleared. We have Jennifer Fleetwood, who just finished her orientation today. She's been with us for 3 months, a wonderful addition to the department, and she's helping us handle all the incoming paperwork and sharing it with our partners. And then last but not least, we have Alex Krakowski. He's actually in Oregon, and he is listening to the recordings of our discussions with the families to make sure that we are meeting the requirements, that we're making sure that the families have all the information that they're required to have so that they can make a decision whether or not they want to donate. So I got a couple people that I got to deal with time zones and other things, but it's a really great group of people. And our responsibilities in our department, we have to do the initial review of the tissue donor files. We have to communicate with our departments and with our tissue partners. We implement new processes and try to look for ways to constantly improve. And we're sharing any necessary documentation with you, with all of our tissue partners, because you guys are ultimately responsible for making the decision as to whether or not the tissue will be utilized. So we have to gather all that information and get it to the partner so that they can review it and determine through their medical directors whether or not the tissue is able to be used. And we share any rejections with the processors. If we find out any information about serologies or whatnot, within 1 day, we prepare a notification to make sure everyone is aware of it so that the tissue can be destroyed if it can't be utilized. And then we really are ensuring that tissue is released for transplant. That is our goal. But unfortunately, the quality department is sometimes viewed as the bugs of the Sharing Network, because we are going to the staff and asking them to make corrections or to make changes to the documentation that they've done, or to sometimes even call families back because we need to make sure we're getting the information that we need. So I apologize normally when I do this presentation for my staff. We are not intending to bother you and to be the bug, but again, our goal is to get that tissue released. And I'm not going to bore you by going through each of these little boxes up here, but I just wanted to show you that we've really dissected our quality process. And we have set up steps on how we're going to make sure to move the information through our department and get it to you so that the tissue can be released. And a couple of times in this chart, things have to go back around again because sometimes we can't get the information correct on the first try, and we have to go back again and get some more information. And so this is kind of what this slide is trying to show, is that it's really a circular process. So we will do our initial chart review. The quality department will make as many changes as we can. If someone's misspelled a word, or if they forgot to initial and date something, we can line it out and initial and date for them. But many times we cannot make those changes. We have to go back to the person who created the document, the recovery person out in the field, or perhaps the DRC person who was on the phone with the family. They need to make those corrections because they were the ones who were there when that was taking place. So then we reach out to them, we have them make the corrections. Once we get all those corrections made, we send them to our tissue partners who basically do the same thing. They're looking through the documentation, they're looking for any errors, they let us know when we have mistakes or we need to make changes, they send it back to us, we make what we can, we go to the staff, we go round and round and round, and hopefully not too many times around. And again, and I see some smiles because sometimes we go around a couple of times, but we want to get the tissue released, so we work really hard to make that happen. So here's an example of where we've been over the course of the last 5 years. In 2013, we had 497 charts that we reviewed. With the same number of people each year, you can see here that the number of charts and the number of donors that we've had has increased. With an estimate for 2017, if we continue on the way we're going, 850 charts that we're going to have to review and make sure it gets through the system and to our processors. So I do commend the entire quality department and all the hard work that it takes to do all of this with the same amount of resources. And that's really where the improvement initiatives come in, because we look for ways to make our process more efficient, to eliminate the non-value steps. And if we do that, we can do more with the same amount of people, because we're no longer doing the things that we don't need to do. And it's a constant, never-ending improvement. Every time you think you've got it right, something comes up and there's another scenario that you weren't prepared for. And so here's a quick fixes that I just wanted to talk about, because these are pretty much directly related to you and to the quality people here. So Anna Nunez, who is one of the people that we work closely with, brought to my attention that we were sending culture results, preliminary, and then final results. So we were sending and resending these results to you over and over and over again. And every time the results come in, it has to get reviewed, it has to get put into the chart, And then she emailed and she said, "Why are you sending these preliminary results? Could you eliminate that?" And I said, no, we can't eliminate that. We're getting the preliminary results, we have to give them to you, that's the way it works. And then I thought about it, and I'm like, why are we getting these preliminary results? The first preliminary result would say everything is pending and we don't have any results. Well, I don't care. I want to know when I got the results. I don't need to know every time you get a result, you're going to send me another report that shows the next thing that you got. So it was a lot of non-value added part of the process. So what happened was I reached out to the laboratory and I said, why are you sending? Oh, well, when we set up that account, we checked the box that said, please send preliminary reports. So we don't have to send preliminary reports. So they unchecked the box, the preliminary reports stopped, and everybody was happy. So it's something as simple as that. But really, if we do that every day and look for those kinds of opportunities, we can really eliminate a lot of those steps that we don't need. And then here's another. When we're sending results to our tissue partners, they're having a hard time finding it. They need to know their identifier. So now when we send our email out, and again for the folks on the side, I know you can't see this, taking a screenshot of the different processor IDs is simple, and we can include that in the email so that it's readily available so that they can find the information they need. Well, we got tools in the quality department, so it's not just quick fixes. We like to do things, we really like to take a look at the processes around the building, and we try to apply these tools. We've got fishbone diagrams, which help us figure out the cause of different things that may go on in our organization. We've got spaghetti diagrams. I'm going to talk a little bit more about this, but spaghetti diagrams map the steps that the person takes to complete a process. And again, if we can eliminate the unnecessary steps, we can make the process more efficient. We have 5 why analysis. So we got a problem, and we ask 5 times why. Why did that happen? We come up with an answer, and we say again, why? Why did that happen? And we keep doing that at least 5 times until we get to the root cause. And the root cause, we should be able to eliminate the root cause, and that problem should go away. So we use that tool quite a lot. We use lean cellular design. We redesigned our entire stock room that Joe was talking about. When they're ready to go out on a case, they have to get all their supplies together. And you used to have to go over here to get something, and then walk way over here to get something, and then go back and forth and back, until we realized, why don't we put the stuff in order? Let's put it on a list and put it in that order on the shelf so we can just go up and down the aisles and pick up the stuff we need and go on our case. And of course, we use charts and graphs and things like that to measure. Here's that spaghetti diagram. This was the before. These were the steps that they were taking in the stockroom to pack a bag. And after we redesigned it and used that lean cellular design, we were able to set it up so that people could just walk right around the U-shaped design, pick up the supplies that they need, and go on their way. And we were actually able to save 284 hours of time a year preparing these bags. We use PDSAs. I don't know if you guys use PDSAs, Plan, Do, Study, Act. These are a little bit more formal improvement initiatives. We make sure that we're identifying our problems, we come up with a plan to correct them, we figure out what we're going to do, and we use data. We use before and after data. Because sometimes you implement something like a PDSA and it doesn't work the way you want. You didn't get the improvement you needed, or perhaps you got worse. And so you want to be able to measure, you want to be able to tell whether or not you've succeeded in what you planned. And if you did, then you act. And that's the last part of PDSA, and you implement the change. So another PDSA that directly works with, it impacts you guys and your quality department is really decreasing the number of days that it would take for us to receive an autopsy. We were taking, in some cases, an average of 112 days to receive an autopsy. And let me tell you, there's even worse than that. There are some that we can wait a year. We don't have a lot of control over the MEs and how they prepare these, but we were looking for a way that we could improve and get those autopsies quicker. And so we came up with a formal way to address and request the autopsies, and we actually saw our new system is 76 days faster, and we were able to decrease the number of days it took to get an autopsy by 69%. So that was also a great result. Another PDSA that we're actually working on right now is to increase the use of our tissue statement. We have a several sentence paragraph that we use, and it covers all the AATP requirements that we have to tell families. And in the past, we were just trying to memorize and make sure that we didn't forget to say all these statements. And we decided to write them all down in a way that could be spoken to the families so that we make sure that we're hitting all of those requirements. And so here is the baseline data before. We broke it down by each sentence within that tissue statement. How often were we reading those sentences? And then we did some training and some knowledge stuff with the folks in the DRC. And we so far have a 47% improvement. The folks in the DRC are reading each of those sentences overall 47% more of the time. So that is the end of my presentation. And what I'd like to do now is turn the microphone over to Dan Sarnowski, who's really going to tie it all together for you, because Dan is a donor family volunteer, and he has a wonderful story to tell you. Thank you.
I have to tie it all together. I guess I'm a little old school, like Doris and Jackson. I am not an employee of the Sharing Network. I am, as Frank said, a volunteer. I've been volunteering 6 years now. And I'm a donor family member. On my jacket, I have two buttons. One is the New Jersey Sharing Network logo, and the other one is Betsy, who I'll talk about shortly in the next slide. But I was told to do a first slide of what my involvement is. I do a lot. I started off 6 years ago just as a volunteer after Betsy passed away. And I've become since then a member of the foundation board. I'm the treasurer of the foundation board. I'm a member of the Donor Family Council. That's a group that advises the Sharing Network from a donor family perspective about publications, procedures, how they approach donor families. One of the things that we came up with was, in Betsy's case and in many other cases where families are approached in the hospital for organ and tissue donation, the questionnaire is very, very detailed. And there was one question about, are you willing to donate Betsy's eyes? And her adult children balked at that. They said, take everything else, but don't take her eyes. They thought, you take the whole eye. And it really was the corneas. So one of the things we did in the Donor Family Council is advise the Sharing Network to maybe explain that a little bit more when you're in the hospital. We set up a scholarship in Betsy's honor. She worked almost all her career in education, and we give $5,000 scholarship every year to a high school senior. This year we're actually giving 2 scholarships. Speaker, that's why I'm here. I speak at hospitals, community groups, corporations like this to tell the story that you're going to hear. We participate in High School Heroes program. There's a very, can you hear me all the way back? A little higher. We're going to do
Just keep it closer. Keep the mic closer.
Correct. Okay. There we go. New Jersey has a High School Heroes law, which all public schools have to have an education program for high school students about organ and tissue donation. And many of us from the Sharing Network and volunteers like myself go out every year. We talk to high school students and try to get them to understand about organ donation and ideally to sign up. I'm the chair of the 5K Celebration of Life. This is our flagship event. We've raised over $1 million the past few years to support the network. And I know a lot of you have participated, and LifeCell is a major sponsor, so I want to thank you for that. Other committees I'm not going to mention, and then my title is Data Dan, because I've done a lot of work for the Sharing Network in analyzing data, some of which you'll see on some of my slides. Okay, the real story is Betsy and me. Betsy on the right, Betsy and I on the left. Classic story. She was a mother, daughter, sister, grandmother when she passed away. And whenever I do these talks, I have a little hard time explaining who she was to me. We were not married, but we were together for 10 years. And I came up with the buzzword LOML, love of my life. And that's what she was. She was, as I said, most of her life she spent in educational publishing. We actually were one of the few cases of people that met online through the internet back in 2001 through Matchmaker.com. So it worked for at least 2 people. And we were together for 10 years. She passed away in March of 2011, and I'll explain what happened on the next couple of slides. This is a little bit, being here is a little bit homecoming for me. I spent 6 years with Roche Molecular Systems, building a facility on the corner here, and I spent many a summer day like this dreaming about retirement instead of working for Roche, even though it was a great job. And I was constantly trying to push Betsy to retire too. In 2011, she took a new job with a publishing company in Manhattan, starting to gear down for retirement because I was about ready to retire. And sadly, that turned out to be, well, I forgot this slide. This is a year before she passed away. This is at her son's wedding, second from the left, the bride. Betsy's daughter here, Allie, and Betsy. And a year later, sadly, she passed away. Anybody here know Joan Didion, Year of Magical Thinking? It's a book that Betsy loved, and it's actually a true story about Joan Didion writes about her husband sitting across the table from her, having dinner, passed away, sitting at the table. And sadly also, Joan Didion's daughter passed away in that same year. So it's a very sad story. But there's a famous quote in there. Life changes in the instant, the ordinary instant. And Betsy actually had this on her wall at work. Sadly, it happened in her life. She was walking to catch the train from Montclair. She was walking across the entrance to a parking lot, thinking about probably work and everything else under the sun. Somebody was driving a van, blinded by the sun, quickly turned into the parking lot and struck her. So I say 5 seconds one way or the other. Had she walked a little faster, a little slower, the accident would not have happened. But it did happen. And she was taken to St. Joseph's in Patterson, where we met for the first time, the Sharing Network. This is Paula, transplant coordinator, Roger Davenport, transplant coordinator. And I view these people as angels on earth. I don't know how they do their job, but we were given the prognosis after emergency surgery. The prognosis was Betsy was terminal. She had suffered a terminal brain injury. And we were approached by Paula, who said, did we ever talk about organ donation with Betsy? Now, Betsy and I talked about everything under the sun. We never talked about organ donation. She didn't check the box. But we all knew that she would want to give. Her daughter, in the blackest moments, said, of course Dan and Betsy never talked about it. They were supposed to live to be 85 years old. Who wants an 85-year-old kidney? But the answer was, take everything you can. She became an organ donor and a tissue donor. And the next day, she passed away on March 31st. The next day, the gentleman in the middle received a kidney, and we met him 2 years ago. He is alive and well and totally off dialysis. He had been on dialysis for 6 years, 3 days a week, over 1,000 sessions. After getting a kidney transplant, his health is fine. Betsy's gifts of tissues. She was able to donate, current total is 37 tissue gifts. They're distributed to 17 states. You can see they're coast to coast. So there's pieces of Betsy all over the United States, which is very, very heartwarming for us. This is an analysis I did for the Sharing Network of another organ and tissue donor, Jody Adio. This adds up to about 76 tissue gifts. He actually, in total now, is over 100. And this is probably the most that we can find in the Sharing Network. And you can see down the bottom here is the age distribution. He was 55, but yet his tissues have gone from as young as 11 to as old as 80. And again, coast to coast. So it's amazing what the gift of tissue can do and how many people it can impact. I want to talk a little bit about the ultimate tribute that we had. What we as volunteers do for the Sharing Network, we don't do it for anything other than the love of the cause and the love of the Sharing Network itself. But we were blessed that 2 years ago, Betsy's Florograph was chosen to be one of the ones on the Rose Parade for a float. This is the celebration where we actually got to decorate the Florograph. We were sent out to Pasadena. That's Betsy's daughter up there, next to Eileen Glennon from the Sharing Network. We worked on the float. We were able to dedicate some roses that we placed on the float. And this year, the year we were out there, this is the group from New Jersey. The gentleman who was a heart transplant recipient, he just celebrated 9 years. The Jova's son was an organ and tissue donor. Who else we got here? Anyway, we're missing Don, who was a living donor. And Betsy's daughter is a gymnast and also a world-class marathoner. She has done handstands around the world, so our last tribute to Betsy's Florograph was Allie doing her handstand. Some of the other people that are in my circle of knowledge who become organ and tissue, either donors or recipients. My friend Anthony passed away in 2012. He was 44. He had heart surgery, sadly, and a blood clot afterwards went to his brain. And he was going to become an organ and tissue donor. But in order to become an organ donor, you need to expire within 90 minutes after being brought to the OR. Anthony is a big bearer guy. He wouldn't go in 90 minutes. He lasted another 3 hours. But he became a tissue donor. I do not have stats on him. This year, Allie, who is Betsy's daughter, a marathoner, her coach was a gentleman named Tom Fleming, who was a world-class marathoner himself back in the 70s. He was one of the first winners of the New York Marathon. He won over 23 marathons around the world back in the 70s, and he became a coach. He was coaching his high school track team in April, keeled over from a heart attack, and passed away. He's become a tissue donor. Now, the thing that we keep hoping about him, can you imagine if his ligaments wind up in the knee rehabilitation of some runner who can say, I've got world-class marathon ligaments. That's our hope. He was a heck of a nice guy. 2 recipients. On the right is Betsy's sister, Sally. She came to one of the 5Ks about 3 years ago, and she didn't realize it dawned on her. She says, my God, I'm a recipient. I said, what do you mean, Sally? She had bone graft surgery in her neck, or bone replacement surgery in her neck. So she proudly wears not only the donor family button, but the recipient button. And the one on the left is my son-in-law, Jimmy, who had his knee redone this April. And he said to me, Dad, I have cadaver ligament. And I looked at him and I said, Jimmy, how many years have I been working with the Sharing Network? There's a person behind that ligament. It's not a cadaver, it's somebody. so he apologized. But he has donor ligaments now in his knee. Just summing it up, the 10 years I was with Betsy were the best 10 years of my life. The 6 years since then, working with the Sharing Network, meeting people that are alive today or their lives have been enhanced through organ and tissue donation, it's been the most amazing experience for me. It's been the most rewarding 6 years of my life. And I'm grateful because a lot of people don't even get 1 good year. So I got 17 so far. This is kind of a picture that we use to sum up the miracle. This gentleman is Chris Batista. His son was 14, passed away a little over a year ago. The gentleman that he's hugging is Keith, of course, Keith, who received a heart transplant, not from Chris's son, but from another donor. And they were at the 5K last summer, a year ago. Keith celebrated his 1 year anniversary of his heart transplant. Between his heart transplant and this picture, he actually participated in what's called the Transplant Games, which is held every year in the United States, every 2 years, and every alternate year is held internationally, where these are transplant recipients that do Olympic-type games. Keith won 7 medals with a new heart less than a year after his heart transplant. And that is our motto that we go by. What we do is honor those who gave, pay tribute to those who have received, offer hope to those who continue to wait, and remember the lives lost for those waiting for the gift of life. And I want to thank LifeCell because you folks probably participate with us in a lot of the events we do. LifeCell is a major sponsor of our events, which we appreciate tremendously. And just for the work you do, it's amazing. I never knew about this 6 years ago, but the more I know about it, I don't know how you do it, but it's God's work, so thank you.
Thank you, guys. I'm sure everybody has a lot of questions, but before we bring everybody back up for a Q&A, I would like to say thank you to Nikki Weeks for putting this all together. Also Nicole Stanaway, Kevin Marquez, Glenn Greenleaf, and Rachel Weir also. So if you guys can come up, we're going to have a quick Q&A. So if you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask.
Don't all jump at once. I know it's exhilarating. Any questions? No?
Anybody?
I got one question. So, thank you for coming out. Thank you for sharing this. When I was in New Providence at the facility there, I saw a meditation garden. It was roped off, so I couldn't go in and get details. But can someone talk about that? What it was?
Yeah, I'm actually going to ask Kelly Von Ventry. She's our manager of philanthropy and foundation programs. She can tell you so much about that because it's such an incredible site that we've just recently opened.
Actually, the garden will be opened a year in July, and it was born out of the idea actually from our employees themselves, to basically give families and our staff a place to go to honor those who gave the gifts. The work that our staff does, as you can clearly see today, is obviously emotionally draining, and it's obviously a difficult time for our families as well. So the garden was designed to be really a very special place to allow staff and families to come and to honor and to remember those gifts. We apologize that it was closed that day, but with 10,000 people at the facility, we needed to, keep that closed. But we invite you, John, and anybody here to please come and visit the garden. It really is a special place. We would be happy to give you a tour of the facility itself, which is also an amazing facility. It's a 45,000 square foot facility that literally every inch of the building is designed to honor and remember the gifts that our the loved ones, Dan's loved one, and that all of our donors have given. So we invite you to come at any time. Just let us know ahead of time so we can have a staff member available to give you that tour and to show you the beautiful garden.
one, could they do it? And two, how would they go about doing it?
Yes, we've had other facilities like MTF, who we work with as well, that are local in New Jersey, have come out and requested to come see recovery. We just put in a request in with us, and we would just have to look it over and find a time to get your availability. We could make that happen and stuff, but you didn't have a good availability.
And you also have to complete a confidentiality notice. Quality, that's what I'll tell you, that's a requirement as well. But we'd love to do that.
Thank you.
So I apologize, I'm the process technical improvement person. So you mentioned at the beginning you only get about 3% of the donors you can actually use. So where in the process does that fall out? Because that's a lot of, you said there's a very short time period you need to make those decisions.
So of those 25,000 referrals that we get in, they can vary. In order to kind of comply with the multiple processors that we have put in place an age cap. So of those deaths, basically anyone 81 and above is immediately off the bat, they're just unable to donate due to the supply and the demand that we have. The rest of those, I think it was 2,600, were actually suitable. The other piece of that is, if you're an organ donor, you initially go to a different screening section. So what that basically means is any patient who comes in with on a ventilator with a head trauma, so cardiovascular accident, head trauma, stroke, anything of that nature, we send them to a different area of our organization to further develop to see if they would be organ donors. They can also be tissue donors. So right off the bat, organ donors who come back with hepatitis C, hepatitis B, HIV, syphilis, any of those tests that come back reactive, unfortunately they can't be tissue donors. So from that 25,000, we're down to 26, and then 1,100 said yes. So right now, in our donation resource center, about 44% of families actually say yes to donation. In New Jersey, we have a rough crowd. Not everyone understands the importance. We also have a lot of different cultural dynamics that come into play. So, on top of fighting some of the myths and misconceptions that we have, that Grey's Anatomy loves to give, shout out. We have different cultures that, aren't necessarily just waving a flag at us. So that's one battle. And then once we do obtain a family who says yes and chooses to help others, their past medical history might be prohibitive. We might something in the chart that could be indicative of an infectious disease process that we do not want to carry that out to the recipient. We could get back, again, serological testing that would be conclusive to donation. We might run out of time. Simply put, we get a lot of referrals from medical examiners' offices in the state where we simply do not have the time. And the time we've gotten a referral from them, the family's interested, we want to move forward, but we can't go backwards. So there's a lot of different pieces to it. It's just unfortunate.
Also, during the physical assessment that Joe spoke about, there could be things that are found during the physical assessment which could also rule someone out to be a donor. But what we do say at the Sharing Network is even if that family member didn't become an actual donor, they're a donor in spirit, and they're welcome to come to our facility and participate in our programs and be part of the Sharing Network family.
You have some really impressive improvements they made. Of note, the autopsy reduction. Have you had the chance, or are there opportunities to share some of your improvements or best practices with other tissue organ recovery organizations?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, one of the things that we just did last week was we went to the AOPO, the Association of Organ Procurement Organizations, and lots of OPOs met together, and that's exactly what we're doing. We're talking about the things that are working well in our facility. We're sharing them with others. One of the things that's so great about the organ procurement organizations is that they really are willing to share. And so we go to those. We go to the AATB conference, and we're doing the same thing. We're sharing those different improvements, and we're hearing about improvements that are being done in other areas so that we can learn as well.
I'm Chris Bell. I'm the Executive Director of Quality Operations here at LifeCell. The question I had was, you showed a big bag of the donor records, huge 1,000-page donor record is there. We obviously process a lot of paperwork from a number of different tissue recovery partners, and it's a mountain of paperwork that we need to review and print and go through and review. So we're curious if you had knowledge of any electronic medical record systems, or if you use any electronic medical record systems internally, or if there's any benchmarking across the industry that we could perhaps tap into or take advantage of. We'd be happy to participate in exploring with you if that's something that's available.
I don't know if one of the other people here could talk more, maybe Tatiana, but we do try to get access to electronic records through our hospitals, and it's not very easy to be done. First, there's confidentiality, there's HIPAA, there's all kinds of things that you have to put into place before that you can do that. Tatiana, did you want to talk a little bit?
Luckily, when I was in hospitals development, I had the opportunity. That was one of our kind of spearhead projects, was to allow us access into hospitals' EMR systems. The tickle with New Jersey is that because we have so many large systems, they're very hesitant to let us in. And if they do let us in, it's read-only access, which does not allow you to print. So while it's great that we do have access to it, I believe right now we have access to just a few systems. It's read-only. The passwords expire every 30 days. You have to be on site to actually update your password. So it's kind of like, here you go, and here's 12 hoops on fire that you have to get through to actually use the system. It is an initiative for our hospital development team to work on at this point. We are making a little bit of progress, but a lot of systems either require us to have fingerprinting, an 18-day course on how to use it, because they don't really want us traipsing around in there and accidentally putting orders in on any patients who have passed, because that'll just cause mayhem. So it's a work in progress. We're trying to really come together with our hospital systems to see the best way to get this done, because no nurse wants to sit there at a copier and make two-sided pages, one-sided, and then scan them all. So it's a work in progress.
So the interesting thing would be, I can appreciate that maybe the hospital doesn't want to share the electronic record, but at some point we're compiling paper and then we're sending it electronically and then we're printing it out here and then putting it in a binder. So perhaps maybe there is a point in time where the data is amassed, it becomes electronic and it stays electronic as opposed to being electronically printed. So I'm just curious. We'd love to participate in anything that's developing that forward if possible.
Yeah, I'm sure our clinical department would love to, get more backing, to get some more muscle power behind it. And it's definitely something that's definitely on the forefront of our minds, and it's a project that's ongoing and it's still currently in development.
Any other questions? All right, well, thank you very much for everybody for coming out.